A small blue tick, a familiar client logo, one spelling mistake in a proposal. These things shouldn't tell us everything about a person or a business, but the brain often acts like they do.
Today, we're unpacking the halo effect. Why the brain takes one trait and spreads it across the whole judgment, while one negative cue can undo everything else.
If your work involves selling, hiring, presenting, designing, leading, or breathing oxygen, this one matters.
It sure does.
Welcome to ThinkShift, the podcast where neuroscience meets business.
Hey, Clint.
Hi, how are you going, Leanne?
Yeah, good. I love that opening.
Thank you. Yeah, someone came up with that and allowed me to use it. Thank you. Yeah, how have you been?
Yeah, good.
Yeah?
Good. Good. I've got my merch on.
ThinkShift
Got my ThinkShift.
podcast now available in all sizes.
Yes.
For those that want, please let us know.
Yeah, if you do
Send you
want one, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do want a ThinkShift t-shirt,
Go for it. Okay,
let us know. Put it in the comments.
Today we're talking about the one signal changes everything, and it's a shame that it does that. And we're going to talk about the science behind it.
It is a shame, but it is natural.
And it's the halo effect is the term for this. So the brain really assesses every piece of information on its own. It forms an overall impression, then interprets everything else through that impression. So, Leanne, what is the halo effect in plain language?
There needs to be one positive trait that someone identifies that then becomes the trait that symbolises everything about a person or an
Positive
object.
or negative?
For halo effect in particular, positive.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's always positive. There is a negative, that's a different effect,
Okay.
horn effect, but we're
Yes,
talking about the
we'll talk
halo
about-
effect, which is positive.
Okay, we'll talk about that in another episode.
We will.
Yep.
The other thing too, what's very interesting, there's a lot of studies that have around people that are taller are seen as being more successful.
Okay.
People who are more attractive are seen as being better entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all this obviously fallacy, they may not be, but this one particular trait subconsciously triggers this bias called the halo effect. That look, they're tall, their stature, how they present themselves, they must be good at what they do.
Yeah.
Or they're better looking.
So confidence.
Or they're more successful. Yeah.
More confident person can be misconstrued as being more competent.
Yes.
And
exactly.
you're like, well, they actually aren't. They're terrible.
Yeah.
Great salesperson.
Yeah.
But
They look good.
They look
good.
Yeah, and they're tall.
But that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. Why does the brain generalize one trait across the whole judgment? Why does it do that? Cheeky bugger.
I know, and it is, isn't it? We identified that a long time ago. Again, it comes down to short heuristics. What is it? We need to come to conclusions fairly quickly. So we use these biases to just pick information that suits us, the narrative that suits us, and then we come up with our own conclusion.
A brain's cherry picking.
Yeah,
in effect.
It is basically cherry picking,
to save time, to speed
save
up.
time. Again, going back to System 1 thinking, Daniel Kahneman, and also it's convenient, but we make the narrative suitable for us. So when we look at someone quickly, we go, oh, they're tall, they're attractive. It's easier to think, oh, they're successful than they're not. And so because of this, we have a bias called the halo effect. The brain does amazing things. It's great at protecting us, but it also makes big boo-boos.
Yes.
Big boo-boos, and that's where we can get undone and we get stuck.
So the term judging a book by its cover comes in.
100%.
But also first impressions matter is another expression that's well used and overused, but it does matter.
It does. And the term don't judge a book by its cover came in because of the halo effect.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, that is why we actually say that cliche, that term, we say that is because not all is what it seems.
Yeah, so those out there designing book covers, you better make sure it's a good book cover design or no one will read your book, right?
Yeah, that's right.
This must be a terrible story because the design's awful.
Yeah.
The headlines terrible. They've used Comic Sans all over the face of it. Must be
Can't
terrible.
understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be War and Peace written in Comic Sans and no one will read it because of the terrible cover.
Think about the interpretation of something like War and Peace written in
Comic
a font
Sans.
like Comic Sans.
Yeah.
The actual story and the interpretation of it would be it'd be a totally different story interpretation. People wouldn't actually get through it.
No. Do they even get through it now?
Not really.
How many volumes long is War and Peace?
I mean, it even is a cliche.
Yeah.
You don't need to write War and Peace.
Yeah, that's right. It's excessively long.
Yes.
Okay. So
Not like this podcast.
yeah.
Not like this podcast. These
No, under 30
snippets.
minutes.
Under 30 minutes.
Okay. Is the halo effect always positive? And I know you said
So the halo effect itself, that particular bias, yes, but there is a negative. And
Okay.
there is a negative. So where it's not the halo effect, it's called the horn effect, which has the opposite effect.
Yeah.
So even though is it always a positive, not necessarily, could be a negative, that is not called the halo effect.
okay then. So the example I gave around the book cover, is that a positive or a negative effect? Because you're saying, because if the book cover's got Comic Sans, War and Peace, it's
It's a negative effect.
a negative. That's a horn effect.
Horn effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So, for instance, you could have someone that is shorter or not as aesthetically pleasing, and people might look at them and go, "Well, clearly that person's, they might even be a larger person, or clearly their lady's not going to be successful." Yet
horn effect.
the horn effect. Yet they've got
CEO.
a multi-million-dollar business that's extremely successful. They're a beautiful person. They have a phenomenal team. The culture of the organisation is fantastic. It's one of the best, top 10 places to work. Yet because of the way that person looked, the horn effect.
The horn effect. So
effect, yeah.
I remember walking into Versace in Melbourne
Look at you.
many years ago, though.
Look at you.
And I'm not sure I was
Giovanni?
wearing the appropriate clothing. Again, let's look at,
Yeah.
was a pretty woman when she walks in and she wasn't dressed in the way that was expected of someone with enough wealth to be able to afford the clothes in that store,
right.
and then got dismissed. Horn
Correct.
effect, right?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. Hang on. Let's go back to Versace. I want to, hang on, getting out of this one. What happened? Did you buy anything? That's the first thing I want to know.
I wasn't even spoken to. I just
Really?
walked around the entire store. Nobody even came near me. And then I walked out.
You didn't say, "Don't you know who I am?"
I was going to say, I'm a
I mean,
billionaire.
you shouldn't have to say it. You shouldn't have to say it, but
Most billionaires dress like me. No, I didn't say anything like that. I just thought, wow, that was interesting. Not even an eyelid was battered. Interesting.
you could have had, $1 million to spend in that store for all they knew.
Yep. I was like, haven't you seen Pretty Woman? Don't you know how this ends?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Leanne, what's the difference between a signal and proof?
So a signal suggests something, or it's a trigger that you might then have to interpret yourself, or potentially interpret yourself, where proof is a fact.
It's literally a fact.
It's actually a fact, yeah.
Yes.
So the signal may not always be correct, where proof, provided it's referenced properly and there's evidence behind it, because a lot of people say proof and it may not be proof,
Yeah.
state their own opinion as facts, that's not proof.
Yes.
But if it's legitimately proof, then it actually is a fact. It's a true fact.
So I had here, so a credential can signal expertise, such as PNPN,
Yeah.
MNPN.
MNPN, yeah.
The quality of their work is what proves that.
100%. So you're a PNPN, I'm an MNPN, so I'm a professional neuroplastician, I'm a master neuroplastician. We're highly credentialed in what we do and experience. But if you're reading it on a piece of paper, it does seem like that. But if we're not good at what we're doing,
Means
the
nothing.
proof is in the pudding, as they say, it means nothing.
Yeah.
So just because you've got that sense of authority doesn't mean you're good at what you do. However, if we go back to Cialdini's, principles of influence, social proof is influential, and or authority is also another principle. So there is a bias around someone that does have those credentials that they technically are going to be good at what they do.
Right.
But the fall off, if they're not, is more dramatic. So if there's an expectation that you're credentialed, so you're going to be good at what you do, and then if you don't, if it's poor performance, that actually has a much bigger negative effect than what it would if you were uncredentialed.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to talk about AI briefly again.
Okay.
It seems to come in quite often
It
at
is,
the moment.
yeah.
Does AI make this harder to navigate?
It does, because we are losing efficacy around trust. What do we trust? Where's it coming from? What's the source? What information? Are we getting hallucination? these trust signals, not so much the proof, because the proof can actually be given it's fact, right? So if it can cite or give reference, then that's fine. But still, are we trusting the information that it outputs?
Yeah.
Not really. We need to double check it, and we talk about human intervention and making sure there's a human lens around that. So it does create some issues. The other thing is also tends to be there does tend to be, but again, a bit of a blind spot to look for is a halo effect within AI. The last time, and this is where confirmation bias comes in, it has been giving me really good content, or it's been producing really great narratives around work that I'm doing or proposals that I'm putting together. So we uplift the AI saying, oh, it's a great product.
Yeah.
So that in itself is
Interesting.
halo effect.
Right.
And so what happens, we let our guard down, as we talked, in a couple of other episodes ago, and we allow the AI boo-boos or the errors or the gooiness, as we say, rather than the concreteness, actually find its way in there and it slips through the cracks because we're not as vigilant with what the AI slop that potentially can come out. So we can actually give AI this halo effect as well. It's not just humans.
And is the vigilance play in, or is it hand in hand with cognitive regression in some ways?
Yeah. Well, that then leads to cognitive regression.
Right.
So we're not allowing ourselves to think because of the reliance on it. So we're not allowing ourselves to think or use our intelligence in the way that we should, because it saves us time. We make allowances. We're compromising, or we're over-compromising, which I see a lot of. And so we're allowing subpar or suboptimal outputs to go out. But it's AI, so we've given it. It's on this pedestal that we've given it because it produced some quality work at some stage.
Yes. Okay. Just a key takeaway on this segment: people don't always judge every detail on its own. The first signal often becomes a filter for everything that follows.
Yeah.
Super critical. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to ThinkShift on all the social channels so you don't miss what's coming up next. The halo effect appears anywhere people make a judgment with limited information: websites, proposals, pricing, hiring, leadership. And I'm going to go through some ways design polish affects judgment. So presentation quality often acts as a signal of care and competence. And
It can have the opposite effect too.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, how you do one thing is how you do everything, is what I I preach all the time, and I think this is so true in business. And if the presentation quality of your proposals or your website or all of those things, they all matter more than you would think. And of course, halo effect, right? Yeah. Consistent design makes the business feel organized. Again, making sure all your collateral, all your marketing, your website through to your email signature, they all have to match, right? Because of the organization aspect.
And we're talking here cognitive fluency as well. So the ease of processing information. And this is why it's really important within a business to have that messaging that's the same. It's why branding colors need to be the same, fonts need to be the same, that consistency. We actually leverage the heuristics and the shortcuts that the brain brings to our advantage. And so and that creates a sense of, trust, a sense of competence and confidence. And essentially there's an uplift or potential halo effect.
And this doesn't mean good design guarantees good work. It means design shapes the frame the work gets judged through. So
brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it's like pricing framing, right? And priming and those things. You're priming the observer of your proposal to have an expectation of what they're going to get when they work with you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how can that one mistake damage the wider impression? What are some ways?
So there's lots of things that I see. Again, inconsistencies within branding, low quality images or even stock images when they're used, broken links,
broken layouts,
broken layouts,
outdated copyrights and footers.
Yep, absolutely. One of my absolute pet hates.
Yep.
There's an expectation that the consumer has when they click on something. If it doesn't go to that destination,
Yep.
And we're becoming less and less tolerant.
We are. I am.
And our threshold is, and we're like, okay, we move on. And the thing is, what's really tricky for us, and this is what we also need to realise, is that there is always something else to move on to.
Yes.
There's another competitor around the corner. There is someone else. There's another designer. There's, not another neuroscientist, but certainly another person in a sales or business environment that can help out. There is always someone that is there around the corner that will take your spot.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and they could do great work too.
That's right. Just on the broken link example before, and I think we need to do better at looking out for each other, looking out for one another. I've often been sent portfolios from designers that I'd like to work for me or with me and collaborate, and they'll send me a bunch of portfolio links, and a bunch of them won't work, or they'll be outdated, or they're incorrect, or whatever. And it's easy to dismiss that and just write them off and go, well, I'm not talking to them because they've stuffed it, right? But instead, I make sure I reply to them and say, just letting you know.
Yes.
And I think we can all do that.
Absolutely.
Do better.
I think we
at
can.
Being humans.
100%. And doing better at supporting one another too.
Yeah.
And I will often do that. I mean, you and I do that together. And I've had some clients that have sent me things and vice versa, where I'm just letting you know that this isn't looking right, or this doesn't work, or just want to check this, or something happened with your signature and your email. It's okay.
It's duty of care.
It's okay, yeah.
Done with no malice.
Yeah,
it's just pure, just making sure that you sort that out so you can get the next gig.
That's right.
You know? Okay. I've got some examples here as well to add to that. A typo on a pricing page makes people question whether the numbers are right.
Yeah.
Which, absolutely does. A slow website makes the business feel slow. So, speed can have so many things here. I'm not going to go into a full website audit session, but everything from hosting that you're with to size of imagery you've loaded onto the website to who you've had build a website. It's one of those things where unless you're told as a client, you don't know how big an image needs to be to upload into a website. You just upload the one you were handed. The photographer gave me, 5.6 megabyte files. I'm just going to load them in.
And not only that, we're taught that the better the bigger the file, the better the resolution, the better it is.
Yes.
So of course that's what I want on my website, but that's not always the case, right?
Not always the case.
Yeah.
Thankfully, though, a lot of platforms now have a built-in image generation suite that comes on. I think WordPress does now as well. Framer definitely does, where you upload your image and it will automatically allocate resolutions per screen size and compress them for you, and they'll still look great and things like that. But by and large, I think for WordPress specifically, plugins require purchase and things like that.
Yeah.
But there are things you can do to mitigate. But we're getting down a bit of a rabbit hole here on web development.
As we always do.
We always do. And the last one is a poor first email shapes how the recipient reads everything that follows. I know we touched on emails in a previous podcast, how, that subject line, if it's a bad subject line, either no one's going to read it or they already have an opinion of you via the subject line, right, before they read the rest of the content.
Yeah. I've recently, I did a post that went off on LinkedIn, literally went viral. I've since done a Brainy Bite newsletter on it and published an article around emailing a CEO and they deleted you.
Oh, wow.
And that's just essentially the name of the article. I emailed a CEO and they deleted you. And it's around not having the right subject line in your email and starting off the email the wrong way for that person. It might be the right way for you because that's what you're comfortable with, but the recipient might not want to be asked how their weekend is or how they're feeling. And so identifying that person 100% is really important. And if it's not with the expectation of how they're seeing things, they will delete you, especially someone that's a D or a dominant profile. And so your email never gets read, and they will never read an email of yours ever again because they've already got that perception of you, or this is the garbage that I'm going to get from this person. So the next time Leanne emails, they don't even get to the subject line. They just see that Leanne's entered their inbox and out it goes, and how important it is that we get that right.
That's the horn effect, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So the customer can't see everything about your business, so they use what they can see to make assumptions about what they can't. And It's such a shame.
It
Brain
is.
does that.
Yeah, it's naughty, isn't it?
It's naughty.
It is naughty, and it really, there's no
Just undermining you.
It is. It just doesn't give us a break. The brain just doesn't give us a break, but it doesn't give us a break for a reason, right?
Yeah. It's protection.
It is protection. It's saying
Fight or flight.
It's danger.
So it's built into our DNA from a long, long time ago.
Well, it's part of our primitive brain.
Yeah.
So our primitive brain at the back of our brain is where cortisol spikes and it originates. Our vagus nerve is there, our amygdala. We've all heard of the amygdala hijack when we have a very high upregulation of cortisol. It's there for a reason.
I feel like we need to evolve, Leanne. When are we going to start evolving?
Well, you know,
Get beyond this problem?
We won't. And, you know, I often talk about, and people laugh, and clients laugh at me, going back to the caveman story. Yeah, well, the thing is that we actually haven't changed. Yes, our circumstances have, intelligence has our environment has, the variables around how our ecosystem and how we live, but we fundamentally are the same.
Yeah.
Hormonally, we are the same.
Yeah.
Like neurochemically, and, you know, our hormones are the same. You know, we still operate the same way. I think we talked about you running out and getting, you know, fighting the buffalo to get food and bring back. Yeah, that will still, if you were still in that environment, that's essentially what you're doing.
Yes.
And there's this expectation in a way. I mean, I know we talk about, you know, diversity, equality, and inclusion, but there is still that sense of, you know, there's, you know, male has a certain role, female has a certain role, different genders have certain roles, and that is because that is part of how their brain operates.
Yeah.
We actually can't change that.
Yeah.
We can be more accepting, less judgmental, 100%. That's what neuroplasticity is about. But fundamentally, it still operates the same way.
Yeah. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
So let's move on to how to use signals without relying on manipulation.
Yeah.
The goal isn't to manufacture a false impression. It's to make sure the right signals point people toward the value that's actually there. So where should a business start, Leanne?
So right from the get-go, I mean, firstly, how are you being perceived by the consumer? You as a person, your business as a business, and also when you're being found, what's your digital identity? How do you look in the digital space?
Profiles across socials,
website. What if someone Googled you or AI'd you? You know, what comes up?
Yeah.
What comes up? You know, I often will speak to sales teams, and they might have some younger sales members, and I'll say to them, you know, do any of you have on Facebook, do any of you have naked pictures or videos of you running down the street at someone's 21st? You know, and they'll say, oh, yeah, I did, or no, but, you know, whatever, and but that's personal. No, that's your CV.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's there, it's available, it's part of you. So it's really hard because we cross that line now of what is professional and what is personal. But unfortunately, if it's available and on a public domain, we can influence that decision, and people do make judgments based on that.
So it's kind of, how do we control the narrative or add to an opposing view in some way? So if there's one thing out there that is something that you don't want to be out there, like, is it offsetting that with several other more consistent?
So the thing
messaging?
is you can offset it, but the quantity of information that needs to be out there to offset that one negative is a lot. It is not relative.
Okay, because my next question was, why does consistency matter more than any single signal? And is it because that one starts the impression and the repeated signals strengthen it?
100%, yeah. But having said, so if you've got a negative signal, but then you've got a lot of consistency around, well, you know, now I'm a business person and this is what I do and I'm successful and I've helped a lot of people in this space and I've got a lot of accolades and I've got authority, all of a sudden it diminishes that one thing. Okay. I mean, I would be removing it to reduce risk.
Just ring up news.com.au, ring up Sydney Monero. Please remove that article you wrote.
And this is where reputational risk comes into it. You know, one
proliferates,
thing
gets picked up by international media.
Yeah, 100%. You're done.
You're
yeah.
done. Cooked.
But so there has to be a lot. But there has to be a lot of information that counteracts that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with the halo effect, it doesn't work because it's already been stained.
Yeah.
You've already been.
Damn you, brain.
And the people.
Yeah.
People around. Our brains are interesting, and, you know, interpretation is a huge thing. And we talk about perception just about every single time on this podcast. And we need to be careful the information we put. How do we want to be seen by people? And it's not making up a profile or an avatar around what you want to be. It's who are you? What is your own identity, your corporate identity in business, and your own identity that you want people to see? And what are you doing in different spaces to support that?
Yeah.
And that's what we need to really concentrate on.
How consistent is it across all touch points and platforms? And is it sending the right signal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is it going to trigger the recipient?
Yes.
What is that signal going to trigger? Yeah. And we want it to be the right signal and the right trigger.
For sure. Here's the shift. People don't wait for every piece of information. They notice one signal, a badge, a typo, a confident answer, and the brain starts building the rest of the story from there. That signal can build trust or create doubt, and it shapes how everything else gets read. The better question isn't, does this look good? It's, what does this signal make people believe about everything else? One action for the listener this week: pick the first place a customer encounters your business, your profile, your homepage, a sales email. Write down the first 3 signals they're likely to notice. Ask what judgment each one creates and whether the rest of the experience actually backs it up. Fix the signal with the biggest gap between how you want to be seen and what people actually see. And that's ThinkShift. I'm Clint.
I'm Leanne.
One idea, one shift in under 30 minutes. If this changed how you think, share it with someone who makes decisions for a living.
And don't forget to follow ThinkShift on all the social platforms, like and subscribe so you don't miss what shift is coming up next.
See you in the next episode. Bye for now.
This is a March Made Media production.